recording of the Executive Board meeting held at St. Joseph's Infirmary on the 11th of September, 1962. A quorum was present.
Some rumblings around through the room that I wonder if we're going to have to stay longer than an hour tonight. I sure hope we can get through early. It sounds to me like all of you have claims. Since I believe we have a quorum, I think we might just open on time. Ms. Hudson, would you open our meeting with a word of prayer? That's all I'm saying.
Our Heavenly Father, as we come into thy presence this evening to think on matters pertaining to our profession, we ask thy guidance and thy direction, that everything that is done may be done to thine honor and glory and to the benefit of all. We thank thee again for all thy blessings to us, and we ask for the forgiveness of our sins in Jesus' name. Amen.
We'll have a roll call at this time.
Miss Gladys Garland, Miss Sally Crawford, Miss Ruth Bryce, Elizabeth Dixon, Patsy Atwater, Sister Josetta, Miss Lucy Mace, Miss Pauline English, Miss Nancy Sale, Mrs. Margaret Superbaum, and Mrs. Ludy Manette here, Mrs. Mary Hicks here, Miss Dana Hudson, Mrs. Robinson here, and Martha Davis here, Ms. Clark, Occupational Health, Private Duty, Miss Maxine Henson here, Public Health, Ms. Armstrong here, Alumnus, Ms. Estelle Hilton, Crawford Long, Emory, Miss Charity Wells,
Yeah.
George Baptist, Miss Frances Hale here, Grady number 1, Mrs. Bernice Dixon here, Grady number 2, Mrs. Irene Stanley here, Piedmont, Miss Mamie Bond, and St. Joseph's, Miss Dorothy Nix. Good.
I want to welcome all the new members of our board this evening. I had to look at your face and look at the names I have written down here to put the two of them together. We want to welcome you to our board, and we know that you will help us out in our many problems that we have facing us at this time. I wonder if there are any corrections to the minutes that were circulated of our last board meeting held July 10. Do I hear a motion that these be accepted as circulated?
I move that these minutes be circulated as circulated.
Sister, second the motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. And the motion is carried. We have some communications at this time. I'll ask the petition to read them to you.
Family of Dr. Wallace Rogers deeply appreciate your kind expression of sympathy. That was Mr. Ernest Rogers' father. Dear Miss Atkins, thank Colonel Lambert and I express our deep appreciation to you and each of the 5th District nurses for the leaves of gold you sent to us. It is terrific. It was a pleasure to give orchids to your 3 most outstanding nurses, especially since our 2 sons are doctors who couldn't live without them. We think so much of their book that we have ordered one sent to Colonel Lambert's father, who is a Methodist minister. Soon, most of his friends in Columbus will have read it. Mrs. H.J. Daisy Lambert. I believe orchids were furnished to the persons on the with the awards during the Nurse of the Year.
Thank you. Do you have a report?
No, I don't.
You have a report of the treasurer?
Oh, the treasury report is from staff, both of them, from the red, at least the district is there for. And then here's the registry, the last one, July.
Treasury report for August for the 5th District, Georgia State Nurses Association, brought forward from July $4,001.37. Total receipts was $1,128, making $5,129.37 on deposit. Total disbursements was $1,745.69, leaving clear in the bank $3,383.68. Checks out was $304.74. Agrees with the bank statement $3,688.42. Obligations to the government, withholding tax $114.18. Social Security $50, making a total of $164.80. And the withholding tax to the Georgia State is $3.84. I move that this report be accepted and placed on file.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Financial record for the Nurses Professional Registry, July 1962. Total income was $298. Total disbursements was $2,166.64. Balance in the bank, July 31st, 1962, was $3,414.49. Savings account as of July the 31st, 1962, was $9,397.60. Total paid RNs, July 1962, 445. Total RNs part-time paid 1. Total PNs paid July 1962 was 140. Total PNs paid was none. Submitted bookkeeper Martha E. Carlton. I move that this report be accepted and placed on file.
Second motion. All in favor, please say aye. Yvonne. We hear from our executive secretary this time.
Well, I'll make mine brief, but I do want to tell you that in listening to the report, 2 years ago on this date, we had $200 in the bank. With the $3,000 at this time, we feel that is a good report within itself. Membership cleared the day, and the ANA cards have been mailed on all except the last 14 sent in. Crawford Long has 92, Georgia Baptist 210, Emory 119 with 1 associate. Grady number 1 has 81 with 1 associate. Grady number 2, 64. Individual 417 with 6 associates. Piedmont 99 with 1 associate, and St. Joseph's 104, making a total reported to date of 1,186 with 9 associates, and we have 1 member from Georgia Baptist given to us yesterday to be reported. And if you'd like to know how the sections are, I think it'd be worthwhile just to take a few minutes to let you know how we stand on those as of to date, and this will include the associate member because it was done from the addressograph. We have in the EAT section 99, general duty 198, administrative 180, occupational health 48, public health 115, and private duty 555. Now that makes the total of the 1,195. And in comparing this with the sections for 1960, 2 years ago, the private duty nurses have gained 129 members. Public Health gained 33 members. Administrators, 29. The EAT section is exactly the same as of 2 years ago. Occupational Health section gained 22. Now that includes, of course, some of the office nurses. And I have a sad story to tell you. The general duty nurses lost 56 nurses. We had 254 in 1960. And we've transferred out 5 members, transferred in 7. The bookkeeping is up to date, and I'm happy to tell you we finally got around to house cleaning, and we have discarded all the old papers that the auditor gave us directives on, and have tried to make the office up to date. We're setting up new files, depending on you to help us keep everything in the new file, a resume of all your meetings and activities. So we'd like for you to visit it.
You have a report for printing?
Yes, on the printing, we've had the meter, and I visited the printer every day last week, Monday through Friday, to try to see that the supplement to your bylaws were entirely correct. The supplement, we got the meter on Friday morning, and it did go into the mail 11 o'clock Saturday. So if you haven't received it, some have, you will get it tomorrow. We had the 1,500 issues of the meter with the supplement.
Thank you, Ms. Atkins, for the good report. Ms. Off is not here, is she?
She had one meeting on last Thursday but did not have a quorum. They did review the occupational health rules and her proposed bylaw as corrected by the state and presented for the board is printed, and we have extra copies if you have not received them.
I found a report from the Nurses Professional Registry for August.
I believe we overlooked the report, the financial report for August for the registry. Ms. Hicks, are you going to include that in your report?
I don't have a copy, that's with.
Or maybe we better back up and look at this.
Financial report, August 1962, Nurses Professional Registry, income total, $317.19. Disbursements, $2,573.15. Balance in the bank, August 31st, 1962, $1,628.84. Savings as of August 31st, 1962, $9,397.60. Total RNs paid end of August 1962, 10. Total RNs paid as of part-time paid as of August 1931, 3. Total PNs paid August 31st, 1962, 1. Total PNs part-time paid August 31st, 1962, 2. Martha E. Carlton, bookkeeper. I move that this.
Practical nurse.
Paper.
Practical.
That's right, practical nurse, PNs. I move that this report be placed on file.
All in favor, please say aye. We will take up the approval of the bylaws later under old business. I think we'll just go on down and get the reports of the committees and sections over first, and then look back at the bylaws. Maybe by that time we'll have time to look through them, some haven't already. Ms. Mace, do you have a report for Finance Committee of proposed budgets, district and registry?
Madam President, all of the members have a copy of this report. So to save time, when I say rent, you'll go and see how much it'll take for the year. And telephone per month, and then the year. Printing for the district meters, 6 issues. Scheduled cards for meeting dates. Bulk mailing fee, audit, postage per meter in office, parliamentarian, $10 per meeting, salaries, office supplies, employer salaries, social security tax, full coverage insurance and bond, treasurer, and the executive secretary, answering and loud, city and county tax, rent of safe deposit box, flowers, section expenses, 10 cents per member, convention expenses for the president and the executive secretary, that's for GS&A, and entertainment and miscellaneous, printing, bylaws, and that's 600, and the directory 300 gives you your total, and office equipment. And if bylaws are changed, additional office assistance will be necessary, so it gives you the total of what that would be, and the sum total of the next year's budget will be $12,000. Estimated members, $12,000, $10 each. Now, there any questions? And then we have two recommendations by the committee. The first is the approval of purchase of an A.B. Dick photocopier. And the second, that items be interchangeable on budget, and all future budgets, that office equipment, operation services, supplies be obtained as needed, provided the amount does not exceed the total amount. That is the two recommendations that the committee has offered. Madam President, how do you want to handle it?
You've heard the reading of these recommendations. What is your pleasure
I move that they be accepted.
Second motion.
Is there any discussion?
May I tell them that we plan to sell ads for the directory, but if they print the bylaws, it may run a little over. So we put it down there in the event we're not able to get out, or the time is spent on the directory, just to be safe.
Are you ready to vote? All in favor of this recommendation, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Thank you, I believe the motion is
Madam
carried.
Chairman, I move that we approve the budget as proposed.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? And that motion is carried too. Thank you. You want to read the registry budget, Mr. Mays?
Before I read the professional register's budget, the auditors and the lawyer seem to think that we should live up the amount, but that's bad business. We should have, in savings enough to take care of the organization for 2 years. If anything happened that we didn't have any money, so that our organization would go on. So I'm not, when it comes down to living up to last time, I'm not in favor of it. Because I feel that we want the organization to go on, and if we don't have something to fall back on, like a few years ago when we had no money, it's hard. So I think that's something to think about next year. I won't be on the committee, but I do feel that money should be put aside so that we would have at least a year's running expenses in savings or in some form. I'm not asking you to agree with me, I'm just telling you my opinion of it as a business person. And, all right, we'll take the nurse's professional register. Their rent for the year general nursing is 3, med and adulting is 12. Insurance, combined physician schedule, insurance liability and malpractice, taxes, Fulton County, taxes, City of Atlanta, city license, non-professional, publicity promotion, convention expenses, educational expenses, auditor, miscellaneous, employers' contribution to Social Security, the Georgia Department of Labor, and the federal government reconciliation and adjustment. And then the salaries, the director, Mrs. Vaughn, is $370, and her year's total, the registrar from 3 to 11, Mrs. Keller, $335, and some total for the year. Registrar, 11 to 7, Mrs. Hurd, $335. Registrar relief days, Mrs. Orton, $320. And registrar relief for holidays, sick leave, and meetings, and vacations. At the present time, it's Mrs. Vandenberger to be paid private duty rates. And the bookkeeper, Mrs. Martha Carlton, 2 days per week, $20 per day, first 4 months of the year, and 1 day per week the last 8 months of the year. And the total of the budget is $25,214.89. Now the register has one recommendation, that all regular personnel be given a $10 raise each year until the maximum salary is reached, provided that funds permit. Did you want any change in that?
I think, we made a mistake on these salaries. The Ms. Orton and Ms. Hurd is getting $310.
They are getting $310
They're getting $310 now.
at the present time.
With that $10 raise, that'd be,
We'll make it to $320, but we will change that. Then for the regular report will be $310.
yes, ma'am. For both of them, Hurd and Orton.
That's Mrs. Orton.
Ms. Hurd and Ms. Orton. Difference, $335 from $310 to $335.
And shouldn't we
We
add
might
to
want to get $10 across the board more than they're getting now for next year.
that would be January the 1st, 63.
Yes,
I think that date should be included in this, the January the 1st, for it to take place on the,
January 1st, 1963.
and thereafter, until the amount is raised.
Now, the chief registrar is from 360 to 400, and the 3 to 11 and 11 to 7, and 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. is 310 to 350.
Three of those alike.
The Ms. Orton and Ms. Hurd would be making, with the raises, $320. And I'll tell you the truth, I think Ms. Kellerman's making $325, and that'd give her $335, so I think that's right. I know Ms. Vaughn's making $360, so that'd put her $370 beginning the first of the year. I'm sorry about that.
These figures are what it will be the first of the year.
Yes, ma'am.
But we just cut it back, for this report, $10 each salary. And that will make it, that will make it correct then. And the recommendation then, we will add to the recommendation, the increases take place the 1st of January, 1963.
Sister, did you
get your question
Yes.
answered? Are there any other questions?
She'll give me a corrected form, I'll run you some new ones tomorrow, so you can have them for Thursday, have them corrected.
I'll come up after.
I move the approval of this budget.
Is there a
With
second?
the changes of
With the
putting those
changes.
salaries back to $10.
With the changes
So that
of the
the,
salaries.
what will go into the regular meeting will be accurate.
Gary. Is there a second?
That's it.
Is there any further discussion regarding the budget, registry budget? Are you ready to vote? All in favor, please say aye. Contrary, no. This motion is carried. Now regarding the, recommendation, is this a recommendation you still want, Ms. Hicks?
Well, this is from the register.
I mean, the one that's included in the budget, that Ms. Mays read, the recommendation.
Yes, we would, please.
$10 raise each year until the maximum salary is reached.
And that will be January the first, 63, the first,
I move the adoption of this recommendation.
I second.
Is there any discussion regarding the adoption of this recommendation? Are you ready to vote? All in favor, please say aye. Contrary, no. And this motion is carried.
Madam President, I would like to thank the young ladies that were on the committee with me.
Thank you. Ms. Hudson, would you like to give us a report on legislation?
Yes, there has been no legislative activity much since the, President's health bill was shelved. It was not approved, and it never was, the Committee on the House Ways and Means I never did report it out of committee, but certain individuals who were very interested in the bill had hoped to tack it on to a budget bill, welfare bill, and have it passed first in the Senate and then in that way get it out of the House committee. But it did not get out of the House committee, and their attempt failed to get it attached to a welfare bill. So the King bill, as we have referred to it, which was really, in the opinion of the Georgia nurses, not a good bill, was not passed and has been sidetracked, and we have been assured, however, that it will return to Congress in January in some form or other, but it's dead for this session. And since it was defeated in the Senate, there's been no activity on the national level for any legislation that is pertinent to us at this time. There were several bills introduced which proposed federal aid to nursing education and schools of nursing on the collegiate level only, but not to hospital schools. There was one bill introduced that included both the collegiate and the hospital schools. That was introduced by the representative from Alabama. I'll think of his name in a minute. But none of those bills came out. And the reason it appears that the reason for not bringing those bills out is that the President's consultant committee on nursing is to bring a report this fall, which will present recommendations for nursing and nursing education. That report has been read, or is now in the hands of the committee for review. It is being read by members of the committee and will possibly appear in print the latter part of this year. Now, keep an eye on it, and most of you know Mr. Beauclair Jones, and we are very lucky to have him in the Health, Education, and Welfare Department in Washington, and he's known to many of us. So just write him and tell him to put you on the mailing list for the President's Consultant Committee's report on legislation for nursing. And you will get the report then as soon as it is completed. I hope that you will read it carefully, and I hope that you will be prepared to express yourself individually and collectively. I don't know what the recommendations are. They're very mum about it, but I will state that the Georgia State Nurses Association's present position on federal aid to nursing education is that nursing education, federal aid be made available both to hospital schools and to collegiate schools, and that it be that the control of those funds be on the state level, not from the federal level, and that it be given to the state, and the state handle the apportionment of the funds, and that it be given primarily as scholarships. That has been recommended, but we don't stand so fast on that part of it as we do on the part that both schools will benefit from any legislation that is passed, and that the control be on the state level. We that is very important, and I don't know of anything other than that, but let me emphasize that the President's report, Consultant Committee's report, is of tremendous importance, and one you'll want to be the first in the know about. So I hope that all of you will get in line to receive a copy.
I hope so too. Thank you, Ms. Hudson. Ms. Davis, you have a report?
Yes, we had,
Leadership.
a referendum vote, in August to approve 11 members, and, that was all we had at that time, and this action rate total membership went up to, 1,180 the ninth district. And that's all we had.
Thank you. I think we were all holding our breath, hoping for the 1,200 mark, but we didn't quite make it, but we still have time. We have the report of the nominating committee. Ms. Sharon isn't here. I'll try to read this for you for your approval. 5th District Nursing Committee on Nominations met Thursday, August 9th, 1962 at Fulton County Health Department to prepare the ballot for the annual election. Since some of the alumni and section chairmen had not responded to requests for nominees sent out in April, personal contact was made in order to represent all groups and sections. This seemed to have been a difficult job for the committee. The following nominees have consented to serve if elected, and the proposed ballot is as follows. For first vice president, Doris Hanson, Public Health, Grady number 1, alumni. Eula Benning, Public Health Section, Grady number 2, alumni. Ellen Jones, Administrative Section, and she's an individual member. And Mary Castoria, Private Duty, St. Joseph, alumni. Those 4 names for first vice president. For secretary, Essie Mae Horn, Public Health, Georgia Baptist, alumni. Elizabeth Dixon, EACT Section, and she's an individual member. For directors, Emily Zertz, Private Duty, Georgia Baptist. Sister Incarnata, EACT, and she's an individual member. Pauline English, Public Health, she's Crawford Law alumni. Jean Copeland, Administrative Section, and she's an Emory alumnus. Edith Honeycutt, Private Duty, she's an Emory alumnus. Francis Sink, Administrative, St. Joseph alumnus.
How you spell that?
S-I-N-K, Francis Sink, St. Joseph. Sarah Helen Kilgore, EACT, and she's an Emory alumnus. Do we have elected directors? For chairman of your committee on nominations, Doris Taylor, Public Health, and she's a Georgia Baptist alumnus, and Sally Clark, Private Duty, Georgia Baptist alumnus. Respectfully submitted, Mabel Shirley, chairman of committee on nominations.
Sally Clark, you said private duty,
Sally Clark, Private Duty.
Georgia Baptist? Come here, is that Sally I'm thinking of?
That's right.
We don't have but one, but I know of them.
She's been active
I
in the
may-
district.
Maybe it's a mistake in copying it there. Is she general duty section?
Oh, she is.
Uh-huh,
Well, she's
well, that was just,
making different what section, but I just
it's
didn't know.
typographical error in making her report there. She is a member, all of them are members. That was checked. She just gave you that for information to let you know that will not appear on the ballot,
No, I just wondered if she had changed sections.
Not that I know
This
of.
says Private Duty.
Well, it may have been a typographical error. She's in the right section in our files.
Now, what is your wishes regarding this ballot? Yes, sir.
Sarah Helen Kilgore is a Piedmont graduate, not a Baker.
Is she?
And I think they're talking about Mrs. Castorina.
That is an error there.
And she's not St. Joseph.
She's St. Joseph, but it's Castorina, I-S-A-I-N-O.
C-A-S-T-O-R.
I-N-E.
I-N-A.
Yes, Castorina.
Castorina. What did I say? Castorina.
I had made that, I had made that correction.
Spelled,
Uh-huh. Well, Miss Kilgore, didn't she get her degree from Emory? I think she comes into Emory through either one. She may be a Piedmont graduate and still be a member from Emory. We have many of them who have their degrees, who are Georgia Baptist members, and yet they come in through the Emory alumni, if they're graduates also of the degree program. So I think that may be what you're referring to there. But that part was for your information on there.
Section and alumni.
Yes, the other part would appear on the ballot. She comes in through Emory.
Do I hear a motion that we, do something about this?
We just accepted, don't
I move that the
we?
report
have-
of the nomination committee be approved, be accepted.
After the trouble they go to, I think we should accept. It's not easy.
Accepted with thanks and appreciation.
All in favor of accepting the report of the nominating committee, please say aye. Any opposition? Thank you, it is carried. Now we hear from Ms. Hicks, Registry Committee report.
This is a recommendation
cancellation. A nurse notified of cancellation by patient after her arrival at place of employment is entitled to 1 day's pay. Now, we had a letter from one of the nurses that, had gone on duty over at Eggleston, and she'd gone early at 6:30. And she went on in and worked with the child, and, the child deceased at 6:45. And she stayed and cleaned up the room and, this, that, and the other, and she felt that she was entitled to, a day's pay. And the registry committee, felt that this rule should be revised, and it should read Rule number 6 on the back of the billheads used by the private duty nurses be revised to read: a nurse notified of cancellation by patient after her arrival at place of employment is entitled to 1 day's pay. That's $18, exception death of the patient.
Well, say if you report on and you haven't been notified, they say they cancel it the last minute. And you haven't been notified and there's not another case available, then you're entitled to a day's pay. If you're careless, a lot of times it's through carelessness you have been notified. And, if there's not another case available, then you are entitled to a day's pay if you haven't been notified because you lost pay. In some instances, the girls have, carried their children to nurseries and they have to stay in nurseries. But, what we're trying to do here is have this clear cut on the back of this bill. In other words, a patient can expire anytime. That's something that no one has any control over. And if a nurse reports on duty and after she gets there while she's in transit, the patient expires and there's no way to notify the nurse, then that's the exception. She would not expect to be paid. We did have an issue made with this rule, it wasn't passed. There wasn't anything else hardly we could do but stick to our rule. And, it was an embarrassing situation, so we want to revise, that's the reason. We want to put this exception and lightly print on the back of the building. Because that's something we don't feel like the nurse should ever present a bill as a patient has expired. All right, and she just said, well, we've got to get it in writing, get it correct though, because it was, a bad situation and it was embarrassing. And the nurse felt like she was entitled to pay. And she said that if we made rules and, they weren't working people this printed on, we weren't going to back them up. So that's the reason we would like to get this rule, this change approved if possible by the board so that the chief registrar can be instructed that the change has been made and we won't have any question of that nature in the future. Mary, did you make a motion?
I'll make a motion, this, be changed.
Second. I'll second.
Do you understand this motion? I was at the meeting of the committee and there was a lot of feeling about
We
it.
have several, we can't throw our budget away, we have good supply, and our supply
I
expenses.
just go right there with the bone, like, sufficient.
The private nurses will all be notified too.
Well, could we run a notice too in the meter, notice to private duty nurses in case the patient expires, they are not entitled to present a bill for that day? Could we run an ad that way to notify?
Well, it'll be sometime before the next meter comes out, we're going to give a newsletter out on this just as soon.
Yes,
If we
remind them
get it
3
approved.
times, remind them 3 times, so we don't think the first time, but I'm one of them.
Well, we are going to notify them all, we have a newsletter, if we get this revised, if the board approves it, we are going to see these private nurses
but what might overlook the first one.
Is there any further discussion on this? Are you ready to vote?
Well, suppose the nurse is detained at the hospital, say several hours before the body is, maybe, out of state, out of town, funeral director is called. I was in a position like that when I was doing private duty one time, and I spent the full day waiting for that body to be picked up, and they only paid me for maybe the 2 hours. I don't remember, it's been, 15 years ago, I guess. But I was on duty the full day, in other words, because it took several hours for the ambulance to get in, or the hearse to get in from. So would that be?
I think that any family would realize that you were staying with their family, their loved one, waiting for the body to be picked up, and they would think you would be entitled to it. I think what they talked about that was, is a face down all excitement, and you happen to walk in, well, then you just going back home, but you wouldn't tell the family done that, pay me, I came, and he died for, I'll be getting money. But I think the family would take to see your side.
Just use your own discretion about how long you were on duty.
Ms. Hicks, do you have any further comments?
Well, the private duty nurses work 7 to 3. And, if you come on duty, and work, say 7 to 8, or 7 to 9, something like that, and the patient ceases, well, you're entitled, in my opinion, to a day's pay, because your expense to go and come, and that's your day, is work. But now this, you see, this girl was in transit, and it was a 7 to 3 thing, was what we were concerned about in the rescue committee. Had she come on duty and the patient had said, well, we don't want you, I'm better, and we don't need you today. Well, that's different, but see, we don't have anything to do about it when people are sick. So we wanted this spelled out in black and white, exception, death of the patient, where we wouldn't have any comeback in the future. You would.
Yes, I was there, as I said, I thought there was a good bit of feeling expressed, both sides of this question. Are you ready to vote on the motion? All in favor, then please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. I believe Ms. Hicks did, when she read the recommendation. And Ms. Hanson, said. Ms. Atkins, did you include public relations in your?
Well, no, but I'll just give one sentence. We have had several feature articles on nursing in the papers, and we did repeat Mr. Ernest Rogers' editorial in the Meter, this issue. We feel the list has been good.
And
And the
Journal of Nursing.
78,
78 journals.
that's right.
Thank you. Now, reports of special committees, careers. Ms. Armstrong, you have a report.
I don't believe anything's happened since the last report I did.
Ms. Cox is right here. Ms. Hudson, American Nurses Foundation.
We are over the top, and we ran about $35
Over the district.
over our quota.
Good,
We are delighted.
good. Now, I know that the Committee on Professional Practice had a meeting yesterday, and I wonder, since you're chairman of the state committee and was president of this committee, and Mrs. Jones isn't here. Would you give a report of this meeting?
At the August board meeting with Georgia State Nurses Association, the school nurses sent a report in. Ms. Buffington made the report at the board meeting, and it appeared that they wish to have help and direction from the professional organization. And it was pointed out that so few of them were members of their professional organization that they couldn't get their project moving through professional channels. And so they felt that there were some matters which should be handled, and particularly the way it came about was through the Careers Committee. And the Careers Committee were quite distressed about the public image that the school nurse was making on the nurse image that the school nurse was making on the pupils of the high school. And so they asked that the Georgia State Nurses Association take steps to see what they could to help in the situation. So the matter was referred to the Committee on Professional Practice. I happen to be chairman of that for GSNA, and it was the GSNA committee is composed of all the 13 presidents of the various districts. And so it seemed very foolish to call back district presidents for a meeting when actually this concerned only the Atlanta school nurses. And so then we called in the district professional practice committee. Ms. Wells is a member of that committee, and several others, and Ms. Jones is chairman of the 5th district. So we worked it through the 5th district since it pertained to the Atlanta nurses. And we had a meeting with them, the Atlanta school nurses, yesterday afternoon. There were 10 of them present, and I think of the 10, about 4 of that number were members of GSNA. They did have some needs. One of them was a mutual understanding of the problem. They wanted help from the Georgia State Nurses Association. They wanted professional classification. It seemed that they had been classified as a 3-year teacher would be classified, and on the same salary basis as a 3-year teacher would be classified. And they were asking for qualified supervision, in-service education, and they asked that Georgia State Nurses Association represent them at the meeting of the Board of Education for the City of Atlanta, which met last night. And we telephoned Dr. Letson's office and were advised that he had appointed a committee to work on that, and Mr. Boozer would be heading that up. And so we contacted Mr. Boozer, and Mr. Boozer says, I hereby authorize you to tell those young ladies that we will be happy to meet with them and hear them out, hear anything they want to bring to the group. And so we conveyed that, and a motion was made to accept that recommendation, and that this representative of the Board of Education will meet with the school nurses and hear their needs. Also, there was a question of their professional status, which came up, and I believe Ms. Garland sent a wire to the American Nurses Association. It seemed that there was some opinion on the part of some that the American Nurses Association would not stand behind the registered nurse take a stand for her on her professional status. So we thought the best thing to do would be to get it from the American Nurses Association, since this was pertinent. And, in response, I believe there was a representative that talked to Ms. Carback and talked to Ms. Carolyn in the office. It was sent through the district channels. And the, as I understand it, Ms. Carolyn, you correct me if I'm wrong, they pointed out that the bylaws in several places referred to the professional status, and particularly in the membership, that if they were graduates of an approved school of nursing, they were admitted to the professional organization, therefore it was, the members of that organization is classed as professional, and so on. Several places in the bylaws it does refer to the professional status. And also, there is a definition given by the American Nurses Association to the effect that if you have qualified as a registered nurse by meeting the requirements of the law in any state, that you're considered a professional nurse. So we clarified that form, and that will go in a letter to this committee of the Board of Education, which is handling this matter, and we believe that it will help. And also, the letter is to point out the fact that these nurses, although they have 3 years of education beyond the high school level, that is 3 calendar years and is actually equivalent to 4 scholastic years. And so that will be brought to their attention. So I believe that will be carried for, and there was another motion which I think probably should come before this group at this time. They recommended that a school nurse conference be organized in the public health section. And I bring that as a recommendation from that group and move that the recommendation be approved or adopted.
Thank you, Ms. Hudson, that was an excellent report. You've heard the recommendation from this group. Hudson made the motion that their recommendation be adopted in this English second. Is there any discussion?
Well, let me bring out one point. You're going to have enough people to be officers in the conference there. I'd suggest that they build the membership up to more than 4. At the present time, we only have 4.
How many are required for membership, Karen?
Well, I understand you have to have at least enough for your officers. You need a president, you need a secretary, don't you? We were reading on that conference group today on the new bylaws, and they spell out on that you have to have enough members there to represent them.
Madam President, may I ask Ms. Hudson a question?
Sure.
Ms. Hudson, did I understand that these school nurses that are 3 years training have a higher rating by being a school nurse than we as a 3-year graduate RN? Did they give them? I just want to know, said that was equivalent to their teachers' 3 years?
No, at the present time, their salary is determined on the basis of a 3-year teacher.
Oh, now that's what that
Because they have 3
clears
years
me.
preparation beyond the high school level. And their salary at the present moment is based on the salary for a teacher who has 3 years beyond the high school level.
I see what they've got. That answers my question, and I think they entitled to that.
Yes, Ms. Dixon.
The question of professional, the school nurses, I don't think have ever doubted, I recognize them as professionals when they have duly passed all board, but it's the Board of Education that does not recognize them as a professional person. Is this not true? That's true. I know this has been batted back and forth for a long time. Several years ago, the ACP section, we attempted to help them. And they worked awfully hard to try to meet the what was required of them to get some help, and I'm not sure how much help they really got, so I think we ought to stand back on them and help them to get some of the things that they really need.
We
I mean,
sent out brochures to all the principals in 61 and sent application blanks to all of the nurses. We did not get any members. We told them that we felt that their voice would be stronger by their
well, now,
loyalty
this
to the
is
professional
back-
organization.
This is back in 58 and 59.
But this was in January
so
of 61, and we did not get a
Trying so hard,
response
too.
as far as membership.
Then what they need is to be more active in the organization, then they can answer some better questions themselves too, can't
Well,
they?
That's what Ms. Jones told me.
Yeah,
at the
mhm.
meeting, that
They're
they
behind.
encouraged
Now
to
they
do
wanna
that.
have help.
Since then, there's been one joined, I noticed in your new list there's one of those girls in your new list that has recently become a member. So, there are only 16 of them incidentally in the city. And I think they're the only group in the state who are employed full-time by a board of education. So, but they wanted the conference group, so I brought the recommendation.
Well, I think they should be too, just like the, occupational group, they continue to improve and learn, and they should get out and learn too.
Be recommended.
Mhm.
So maybe maybe they would bring their membership up if Carolyn, if you look up on that when we accept it, if it is accepted, then, tell them that it was approved on the condition that they bring the membership up, enough members to create a, conference group. Look it up and tell them that when you write to them.
I've seen this spelled out somewhere, but right now.
I don't
can't
have it
think
right now.
Where it was.
You saw it in the supplement on the bylaws. That's
The A&A.
A&A bylaws.
A&A,
Supplement
because
came out
this
after the
conference group has
convention.
just been, recently, not too long ago, approved by
And it comes within that framework there.
Well, does it say anything about the number of members that have to
It
be?
didn't spell out there, but it tells you how many you're supposed to have, and you've got to have officers, you've got to have a secretary, and you have to have a president or chairman of the group. So you have to have more than 3.
Madam President, does anyone know what their salary is? What is their salary?
It's $228, I believe it is, 12 months out of the year.
Yes, they were paid, for the full 12 months this last year. But the 1962 is the first year they received the salary for the summer months when it was not in.
This is a recording of the executive board meeting, the annual meeting being held at St. Joseph's Infirmary Auditorium on September the 11th, 1962. Mrs. Garland, presided. This is a continuation of the meeting on the second side of the reel.
They don't have, they didn't say anything about not staying in public health section.
They told me they did, way back there. No, we offered to give them all assistance possible, and we did feel that their first loyalty was to their professional organization. And some of them wanted to join the Georgia Educational Association rather than the professional group.
Well, they didn't
Professional
mention it,
nurses.
yeah.
They didn't mention that, but they did to us. But that's what they wanted.
I think that's right, I think that's what they want, along to the teachers and so.
That would give them retirement and other benefits.
Are you ready to vote on Ms. Hudson's recommendation? All in favor of granting this group of nurses privilege of organizing in a conference grouping? Will you please say aye? Opposed, no. The motion is carried.
That means they'll have to be members of the district to belong to it, so maybe we'll get them.
You look up and tell them when you write them and
You
tell
have
them.
4 right now.
There were 4 present yesterday who were members. I won't say that that's all that's present, Carol. There were 4 there who were members.
May we have the report of, sections now, please? Administrative, Ms. Hudson. Have the report.
We have our annual meeting coming up in October. No report other than the meeting is scheduled for Emory University to be held at Emory University on October the 2nd. And, if you're interested in administrative wise and you'd like to attend, why make your reservation for, your dinner through the nursing office at Emory University for October the 2nd at, 6 p.m.
I think it's 6:30, we'll send the
6:30.
notices out, following the
Yeah.
annual meeting next Monday. She said she'd give me a program speaker too.
Ms. Robinson?
We had a meeting last Wednesday, but we did not have a quorum, so we formed a committee and discussed plans, and I hope that we will have a quorum for the next meeting, but I'm going to form a program committee if we can develop some real interesting programs. And our major problem appears to be our meeting. We get some representation from some of the schools of nursing, but not representation from all the schools of nursing. And it seems as though it's pretty consistent in that some of the schools of nursing are, don't even send representation. And so I'm wondering, and I thought that I would contact the individual schools to see if there would be a better meeting time. Because I think all meetings, it's difficult for everybody to get to them. And so I don't know just exactly what we're going to do, but we're going to try to develop at least some interesting programs so that people will attend and be quite active in coming in.
Thank you. This is the EACT section. Ms. Davis, you have a report for general duty?
No, I don't, because the general section has not been added. This whole meeting. What we done that, we did
Lost
meet
56 members.
198 members.
Lost
We have
56.
198, we lost 56, and, we did meet the administrative section, in, when did that meeting?
January.
Spring.
January,
January.
and veterans, you had 2 meetings scheduled.
And, that's when we had that present, but we did have some few. But we have, and
Mrs. Clark, you have a report from occupation.
I can't give mine, without reading it, so I'll have to read it to you. 1962 Annual Report of the Occupational Health Nurses Section, 5th District, GSNA. Can you hear me? Meetings of the Occupational Health Nurses Section, 5th District, GSNA were planned and held as evening meetings on the second Thursdays in the even months. There were 48 members in the section, and attendance at meetings has improved. In October 1961, Ms. Atkins met with our section and explained the purpose, the procedures, and the many services of the district office. At that meeting, members contributed 31 bath cloths and 1 bath towel, which were donated to Highview Nursing Home. In December 1961 meeting was held at Cox Hall, Emory University Food Center, preceding the annual Friendship Dinner of 5th District. The annual membership drive Dutch dinner was held in February 1962. Invitations were extended to all known potential members to attend this meeting. Our speaker was Dr. J.T. Yeager, who presented a most interesting and informative message on the oral poliomyelitis Sabine vaccine. During the following month, the chairman mailed invitations to join, along with application forms, to 56 nurses who are actively engaged in industrial nursing in 5th District who do not hold membership in our section. When the office nurses section was dissolved in March 1962, an invitation of transfer to the occupational health nurses section was extended its members. 14 members were granted such transfers at their request to the district office. In April 1962, Mrs. Elizabeth Hennett of the Atlanta Speech School talked to our members about the facilities that are available, as well as some of the outstanding accomplishments of the Atlanta Speech School. For our June meeting, Mrs. Essie Nugent, Chief Nurse of the Atlanta Chapter American Red Cross, was our speaker. She explained the credit plan of the Atlanta Regional Office Blood Program, which is now in effect. August was the annual business meeting, and the following officers were elected. Chairman, Mrs. Minnie Y. Clark. Second Vice Chairman, Mrs. Laureen Holland. Member of Executive Committee, Mrs. Marion Kiker. Nominating Committee, Mrs. Annette Norton, Chairman, Mrs. Louise Setzer, Mrs. Otha Ivy. The Chairman attended all of the regular meetings of the Executive Board of 5th District and the 2 called meetings of the Board. The Chairman represented the section at the planning meeting of the workshop on Goal 3. The Rules Committee presented the proposed amendments to the bylaws Committee of 5th District for their approval. Our section was well represented at the annual workshop sponsored by Georgia State Occupational Health Nurses section. This year's subject was mental illness. The workshop was held at the State Hospital on June the 7th, 1962. Material was furnished for each issue of the district meter. Respectfully, Elizabeth Langford.
Thank you so much. That was excellent report. Interested in the report. Mrs. Hensley, do you have a report?
Well, we had our annual meeting on August 30th, and we have a new first vice chairman, December 3rd, so we have a new secretary, Ms. Nancy Manhattan. We're looking forward to working with you officers, and we are going to get a newsletter out before the GSNA convention. And, we've had very good attendance, and that's really the only thing, is our new officers.
Ms. Armstrong, public health.
We had our annual meeting in August, and of course, with the new officers, and we've had the board meeting part of that, and we have our committees almost filled.
Now, our alumni president, Mrs. Hilton Crawford Long.
We had our annual meeting today, we did not have a quorum. I think we have a good, quorum of officers lined up, but we don't have a call meeting. This would be the best step for the only different board.
Kind of big bag. Kind of big bag.
Oh, Pakistan.
Is
I would like to mention our memorial service we had our nurses go. We all thought it was nice meeting and had very good attendance. And we all make getting a right nice contribution to the memorial fund, and we will have to do the chapel.
Ms. Wells, do you have a report from Emory?
We have a picture in the mirror from our homecoming on June the 8th. We had an all-day alumni meeting with a banquet that night. And one day last week, on Thursday, I believe it was, we had an alumni meeting at which we discussed the proposed changes in the bylaws with Ms. Jean Copeland presenting from the District Bylaws Committee, presenting the proposed changes.
Thank you, Ms. Wells. Grady number 1, Ms. Dixon.
Yes, we had a very wonderful homecoming August 18th. And we also have published a history of our school of nursing. Anyone is interested, May 1998 to 1962. It is as complete as we could get it at this point. Actually, perhaps we shouldn't call it history, it's just a running account of the school of nursing from that date until the present. And if anyone's interested in seeing it, I'd be glad for you to see it. If anyone would like to purchase one, we have a few extras.
Purchase price,
$5.
$5. Thank you. Grady number 2, Mrs. Stanley, you have a report for us. Birmingham was an extension of your, local alumni or something? Something new to me. Piedmont, Mrs. Bone,
Yes, we had our meeting this afternoon, and
do
so.
you have a quorum?
And so we had to finish electing some of the officers for our.
Thank you. Ms. Nix, St. Joseph.
We don't have our annual meetings next Thursday. We're hoping for a quorum.
Good. We hope for one too. I believe that completes our reports. Now, by way of old business, we are to approve the bylaws corrected by the state committee. And I think Ms. Atkins has really done a good job of circulating these, coming and going. Not playing.
Mr. Allen, you didn't call out Will James. I'm still Miss.
Didn't I? I'm sorry, Ms. Hale.
Miss Hale, she's taking this top.
Why did I do that? Ms.
Well, it's all right, I don't have anything to report, I'm just, filling an unexpired term for Ms. Coward, and we have not had a meeting since I've been president.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. I don't know how I did this. I had it right at home. How many of you have read this and thoroughly digested it? Know all the changes. You have, you know more than I do. And what is your, how would you like to, attack this assignment?
Well, may I state that the board approved the bylaws to be sent to the state. Most of the changes that the state made were only for clarification, editorial changes, and to enumerate the dues and how they were to go to the state. So the only changes on there, they sent us one thing back, and that was about a lifetime member, which was not included in that. And that was the fact that you grant one each year upon the recommendation of the executive board if they have been a member and are living in this district.
This is all then that we have to
That's
act
what you approved last time.
tonight.
Plus the corrections at the state committee, they approved it, only making the clarification and the editorial changes. Adding to that, I have the corrections, if you'd like me to read them to you, that came back from Ms. Watt. If
Would
you'd
you like
to
this?
have that.
I believe.
Maybe that would
be-
save you the time of going through all of them. They, of course, will confront, going by the supplement of A&A in making their changes. And we have already gotten our copy of. I think you can hear me all right. Now, this is the official report from Ms. Esther Watts. And if you want to follow it along with yours or with the copy, actually, they did not number Article 2 correctly. That is an error there, but it's under functions. Sections 1, 3, 4, 5, and 9. Delete the word active, substitute the word members. Delete the word members after the word associate, add an S to the word associate. This is in conformity with ANA and GSNA bylaws after the amendments to the ANA bylaws were adopted at the 1962 biennial convention. Now, the next change was Section 3, Section 7. Now, this is all included in the printed report you're getting, all these changes. It took me all Sunday afternoon to get them changed. And this is from the original copy that I sent you out earlier. These were the changes made and corrections. You got the copy as we had them. And this, of course, is the state committee's recommended change and was adopted by the Georgia State Nurses Association in the executive board meeting. The next section was 3A. We, of course, was to change that number 7 to Section 6. That referred to government military nurses, not requiring state registration. Then the word on the C, the state had added a few more words to Mr. Jackson's recommendation that we had in regards to membership requirements insofar as liability. And that was after the word law, insert the word with. After the word decency, insert the words alcoholism and drug addiction. Then section 5, substitute the word associate status for the word associate membership. Most of these are all editorial changes. After the words and serving, insert the word as chairman of standing committees. And we deleted the last sentence on that and added the following. Associate status shall not be required if membership is preferred. Then she comes down here under officers and committee on nominations. She says, do you only elect your chairman of the committee on nominations? If so, after the word elected, insert the word at each annual meeting. Well, that was listed in there, but we went ahead and put it there to conform with that. Article 5, nominations and election of officers. Under 2, 5, 6, and 9, just deleted the word active. Section 9, you substituted the word A for the word AN. And Article 6, duties of officers. Section 2, you deleted the word especially and used the word, started off with a capital there, the, for the president. Number C, after the word referendum, you inserted the word votes, deleted the period, and added the word board, and added the word verification. All of these are editorial changes. If you want to go through with them, it'll take you quite a while. Why don't I read you just the new copy that was inserted there, since the rest, if that's agreeable with this group, because it took me one whole Sunday afternoon to make these changes. You have the changes, and you have the old copy.
Well, as long as they're just editorial.
That's right.
Then,
If it's all right with you, this is one change in context. That was delete the last sentence. When the president cannot serve as a representative of the district, the vice president's in order to represent the district in accordance with the section A and section 4A of this article. Then, of course, she goes on and tells you about the dues, which you want that. She strongly recommended the breakdown. And the rest, that is editorial change. Now let me give you the new sentence on here. Most of those are all editorial changes. Now here's the new copy here on that. They define what the committees should do, the committee's functions or their duties. And this one was on legislation, and she gives you in detail what their action is. There are about 5 sentences on that. Now here's a new copy. On section 12, they deleted the last sentence and they substituted, after the review of such amendments or revisions by the executive board of this association, it shall be responsible for securing an opinion from the GSNA Committee on Bylaws with regards to same, and shall recommend action thereon to the executive board of this association. Such proposed amendments shall be submitted for action to the voting body of this association in accordance with the provisions for amendments in these bylaws. And the only other change on that has to do with the rules. This is the new copy, that 6 copies of all proposed bylaws be sent to the GSNA headquarters for the GSNA Committee on Bylaws to approve before same are presented to this association for adoption. And when approved by the state committee and the GSNA executive board, shall then be presented to this association. If adopted without change, shall then be printed. If any changes made, the revisions again shall be sent to the GSNA Committee on Bylaws for further approval. After completed and printed, 2 copies shall be sent to the Executive Secretary of the Georgia State Nurses Association. So you see, all of those are primarily clarification and editorial changes. And this is the copy, exactly right. There's one word left out which we don't need on there, is the chairman of the registry committee, which is spelled out in the rules, and it's already spelled out in the executive board, being appointed annually. Otherwise, it is corrected with the copy.
Move that the report as printed be accepted, and a vote of thanks and appreciation go to Ms. Carolyn Atkins and the Committee on Bylaws.
I second it.
So that was a big job, and Ms. Atkins cost the most of it.
You've heard the motion and seconded that we approve the bylaws corrected by the state committee and circulated to the membership. Is there any further discussion or any questions? If you want further
That
clarification.
doesn't mean that we're acting on it, we're
No.
just approving
Approve.
for, to be presented to the assembly.
That's
Second
According
is-
to the-
I
Ms.
believe
Wells.
Ms. Wells, you seconded. the
Yes.
motion. Are you ready to vote? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? It's unanimous. Vote is carried.
Let's do business.
This is old business.
New business. New business.
You said Ms. Dixon has something to bring up. Is this new business?
I believe it called in our bylaws that, at the annual convention, that we can approve, honorary member in our association. And I would like to ask that Mr. George Hamilton be given the honor of honorary membership in the Fifth District Nurses Association. Mr. Hamilton, as well as Ms. Hamilton, has contributed a lot to our association, and he would appreciate this honor very, very much.
Second motion.
Is there any discussion? All in favor of our district recommending for honorary membership, Mr. Hamilton? Please say aye. Contrary, no. Your
Madam
business is
Chairman.
taken care of, I believe.
I'd like to point out that Mr. Hamilton was chairman, co-chairman with Ms. Barbie on that A&F Foundation project. And he gave I can't tell you how much help he gave to us. And so I think that the least we could do would be that. Thank you, I'm glad you brought that up.
Thank you, Ms. Hurst. Does anyone have anything further to bring up at this time? I'd like to
tell the members, Madam Chairman, that the ballots for the educational, the occupational, and the NSA section went out today, and that by Friday we will have all the ballots in the mail. And any member that you see, please ask them to vote and vote their convictions and send it to the GSNA headquarters for the tellers to count ballots. We get very, very few ballots back in return for the amount of work and the amount of money that is put into mailed ballots. So please encourage our members to send in the ballots and have a good good voting power this year.
This is for the state,
This is for GSNA.
GSNA. And when is the annual meeting?
The annual meeting is on the 18th and 19th of October at the Academy of Medicine. State Board, GSNA will meet at 9 o'clock on the 17th at the Academy of Medicine until 1 o'clock. This will be followed by 4 joint boards, and following that will be the coordinating council. On the morning of the 18th will be registration, section meetings during the morning until 11:30, and at 1 GSNA business meeting, and GSNA business meeting will go until during the afternoon, and at 8 o'clock will be the open public session, at which time Ms. Judith Whitaker will be guest speaker. On the 19th will be the section meetings in the morning and final business meeting of GSNA in the afternoon. So we will have to hurry through that final meeting because we are asked to vacate to vacate the building by 5 o'clock because doctors want to use the building. And we hope that we'll have one of our largest registration at this podium, at this convention,
At the academy.
at the Academy of Medicine.
Will there be a hotel headquarters?
No. Only GS Naval Service headquarters.
May I ask, this just for information, several girls have asked me, and I have personally about it, and I know there are several eating places in that area, but I wondered with the limited time that we'll have for lunch, and so on, and the number trying to get lunch, there's not gonna be any provisions for eating within the academy.
We have from 11:30 to 1.
Is that right?
11:30 to 1. And you will convene in GSNA business session at 1. There's plenty of parking space around the academy, and I believe there's some good eating places in that vicinity. And I don't believe that you'll have any difficulty with eating, and the Biltmore has assured me that they will have plenty of space to take care of the members coming out from the other districts.
Any other announcements? Bylaws of the ballot, what have you. But this is a very important meeting that will definitely have repercussions for what we will be able to do in our bylaws the coming year. So all of you possibly can. Hope to see you back Thursday afternoon, 4 o'clock, 4:30. Do I hear a motion that we adjourn? Thank you.
This concludes the recording of the Executive Board meeting, September 11th, 1962. A quorum was present. Mrs. Garland, Ms. Dixon, Sister Josetta, Miss Lucy Mays, Pauline English, Mrs. Ludy Minette, Ms. Mary Hicks, Miss Dana Hudson, Mrs. Robinson, Miss Martha Davis, Mrs. Clark, Miss Maxine Hensley, Margaret Armstrong, Estelle Hilton, Charity Wells, Frances Hale, Bernice Dixon, Inez Stanley, Mamie Bond, and Miss Dorothy Nix. All members were present.